In this video, I'm going to show you how to make patterns in Photoshop. Patterns are really nice assets to have when you're doing graphic design. You can use them in strong ways or subtle ways to add a little bit of style and detail to your otherwise flat designs. So first, let's go to New, and let's make a kind of small Photoshop file. Let's do 400 pixels by 400 pixels. Patterns don't need to be large because they're just single tiles that repeat over and over to fill a certain area that you want it to fill. Now here's a cool trick that even most seasoned Photoshoppers don't know about. Go up to View and select Pattern Preview. Now, anything we draw in our canvas, Photoshop will show us what the tile will look like. For example, if I use a black brush, let's use just a square black brush. If I draw a plus sign, you can instantly see what it's going to look like as a pattern. Now, watch what happens if I draw outside our canvas, which is this blue square. That is our actual canvas. If I click and drag, watch what happens. It instantly goes into the other side of my canvas. And that's what happens when things are tiling. So we can do things like draw diagonals. And it goes across all the diagonals. If we zoom out, we can really see what this might look like if we use it in a normal way. Patterns are usually used as small repeating details like this. Now we can play around and do other things. I'm just kind of making this up as I go. That looks actually kind of cool. It's not exact. The lines aren't perfect, but that's just a quick example. So let's back up and let's talk about making some patterns, how to save them, and how to actually use them properly in graphic designs. So we've got our small canvas, 400 pixels by 400 pixels, and we've got pattern preview turned on, which shows us what the tiling effect is going to look like. Let's make a basic polka dot design. So I'm going to go to my circle brush, right click and go to our brush options and make sure hardness is all the way up, right? We want this to be a hard black circle. We can use our brackets left and right on the keyboard to size up and down our brush. So I'm going to do one click in the middle. Boom, we got a basic polka dot design. We can draw in the corner right there. Make sure to line up perfectly. And now everything has a big dot and a small dot, evenly spaced. Let's pretend that's exactly the job we were hired for to do for $1,000. Yes, you made a pattern for $1,000 and it only took you like 20 seconds. We're in make-believe world here. Let's go up to Edit and go down to Define Pattern. Now let's name it Polka Dots 400px, just so we know what size it was originally made as. You can make different versions of this pattern that are smaller or larger. Although ideally you don't want to scale things up, you only want to scale things down. So I'm done with this naming, press enter. Now we've got our pattern saved into Photoshop and it'll always be there unless of course we lose all our data. So let's make a new Photoshop file, which is going to be Control N. And I'm going to make this like a normal, print size, I don't know, 8.5 by 11 over here in America. That's what our printing paper size is. Now in our empty, boring graphic design layout here, let's draw a black rectangle. Make sure our fill is set to a solid color, and we don't need a stroke. So there's no stroke, no outline, right, on the edge. All right, now Photoshop changed how this works. I'm gonna hold Alt. That way I can draw a rectangle. This is maybe our header, right? Text will go on top of it. Now here's how to add the pattern. Double click, and we're gonna use layer styles to actually apply the pattern to this shape on this layer. So go down to Pattern Overlay, click on it actually. You got to check it and click on it. And let's select our pattern we made. I've got a whole bunch of fun ones I've been making here over the years. There it is, polka dots. Now it's not fitting because we made a pretty high resolution. 400 pixels is, I guess, kind of big for a pattern. So we can use scale to size this down. Get a scale that you like. Just type in 8, maybe 6, 7. Yeah, you get the point. Now we have our thing applied. Now we've got a few nice controls here. We've got opacity, which fades between the original shape and that. We can also select an overlay mode. So we can overlay as screen, which is only the white pixels, or multiply, which is only the dark pixels, which is everything. So we can't really see anything, right? Because our pattern was black. Let's put it back to normal. We've got our angle, which is pretty cool. We can do a nice 45. That looks pretty cool. Let's put it back to 0. And of course, our scale control. Now we can make this as default here or reset to default, but I'm going to click OK. So now if we resize our square, look, I'm resizing the actual shape, but the pattern is saying the same scale. So maybe we can size it, where there's nothing like cutting off. There we go. Just trying to size it just right. I don't know. This is what you graphic design people do. I'm not a graphic designer. There we go. Cool. So that's how you actually apply the pattern overlay. That's how I do it. You can, of course, make a new layer, select an area, use your paint bucket tool and select the pattern paint, which allows you to paint a pattern into your selected area. but you don't have any scale control, which is really weird. I can't believe they didn't put a scale control here. I feel like they just kind of forgot about this tool, and they don't really, because they think nobody uses it. So yeah, there's not really any controls there. There's some other cool patterns that I've made. This one's really cool, cubes. So that's how you do it. Now let's get back to making some more patterns. All right, we can size this down and make different scaled patterns, but you don't really have to do that if you're using the layer styles technique of applying patterns like I just showed you, because that gives you the scale control. If you're doing the old school paint method, then yeah, you might want to have like a small, medium, large, but honestly, don't do that. Just use layer styles. It's procedural and much more controllable, right? You have all those controls. So let's make a few more empty canvases, right? 400 pixels. Let's go back to pixels, 400. It's just a nice medium size and take up a lot of space. I'm going to go back to view and turn on pattern preview. Press U for shape, and let's make it the line tool. Now we are going to make a no fill and a black stroke, right? Because we're drawing a line. And let's make it, I don't know, 50 pixels thick. Let's see how thick that is. By the way, when you're drawing a line, if you hold shift, it will snap to exact 45-degree increments, which is usually nice. Whoa, that's cool. Hey, we can make the Star Wars lights. Let's do an offset here. Yeah, see what I'm doing? My Star Wars nerds already know. There we go. And then we can select both of these. Hold shift and select, and then hold alt and click, and it'll duplicate them over. Now, also, if when you're dragging things, if you hold shift, they will go only straight the way you first moved. If you move up and hold shift, they'll only go straight up and down. But in this case, they're going only left and right. Again, there we go. Things are getting a little cluttered because things did not tile perfectly. So let's see. Can we select all of them and scale them over a little bit? Try to make it match. There we go. Look, I'm just squeezing them all together so that they line up. I love this pattern preview. This would have taken forever without pattern preview. Enter. There we go. We got a cool crisscrossing thing. Now let me turn off pattern preview. This is all I made. Look at that. It fits together like a puzzle piece. So cool. Now I'm curious, if we save this as a pattern, will it save the repeating parts? I honestly don't remember. Let's see what happens. Edit, make pattern, Star Wars lights. Oh, look, it is over here. I think because I have pattern preview turned on. Click OK, and let's try it out. Let's just duplicate this shape here. Alt click makes a new shape. Double click effects, or yeah, the layer styles. And Star Wars lights, yeah, it does keep it. Interesting. Scale that up a little bit. It's a little too small. There we go. Awesome. So Control N. Let's make it an odd number so that we have 1 pixel exactly in the middle. Because with a cube, I think we're going to need a 1 pixel in the middle. Okay, 501 pixels by 501. There we go. Now I am going to cheat by copying a cube image that is already made, because we have to have the lines perfect. We're going to scale this up quite a bit. All right, so to start this cube pattern, it has to be set up in the specific way to where this pattern is what's going to be repeat. Now, what you're seeing here is just an image I found on Google Images of this exact pattern that I'm going to be creating with you. And this is going to be our tracing kind of guide, right? We're going to have to copy these diamond shapes by using the pen tool. We'll use guides to snap them onto the exact line, so it'll be pretty simple. Just follow along with me. If you don't have this image, that's okay. But it does need to be set up like this beforehand. So I'm going to make the tracing guide kind of transparent, like 50%, right? Right around there. Now let's press Control R to get our rulers up, which allows us to draw guides. Guides are invisible lines that are not seen in the final image, but they're only used to help us snap things perfectly into place, whether we're measuring things or centering things like that. So I'm going to click on my ruler over here and just drag, and you see this vertical line. I'm going to drop one right on the end, and the top and bottom, probably overkill, but just in case. Now let's do the ones in the middle of the actual image, perfectly in the middle actually, 50%. By the way, while you're dragging your guide, you can see the percentage number. If you can't, right click on your ruler and make sure it's on %. There we go. Now you do that. Now if you hold shift, you'll see that it only goes to whole numbers, 50%, 51, 52. Whereas if you're not holding shift, it does the decimals. So hold shift, get 50% exactly. Let's draw in for these corners. I'm going to make this, looks like 17% down, right in the middle, which is 50% right there. Okay, make a few more. We got to get this corner right there, which is 67%, and this one right here, which is 84% for me. Okay, oh, we got to do the verticals right there. That's 25%. We got 50%, and you guessed it, 75%. Awesome. Art is math. Okay, now I think we can start drawing this diamond pattern. with the P tool, which is pen, which allows us to draw just random shapes. So look, we have really thick lines on the edge. We can change it up here. Let me just press the delete key. So with our P tool selected, let's set 0, no stroke. Fill color, we're going to be changing that between like white, medium gray, and like a darker gray. Let's just do white first. All right, so I'm going to click here, 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 and here to make a right triangle. Is that what that's called? I don't know. And that is for the white ones, which is also here. Boop, boop, boop. You see how these guides are helping us draw exact triangles. I like exactness. Imagine these without guides. It would be like ridiculous. Now we can actually grab these 3 shapes we just made up here, right? 1, 2, and 3, and Control J to duplicate them. We can move them down here. We're going to just flip them around. Put your mouse outside. You'll see a rotate cursor. Hold shift and bada boom, bada bing. Okay. So that's the white. Now remember, top will repeat to the bottom. So these line up, right? White to white. Perfect. All right. Now we're going to draw those medium gray diamonds. Before we do that, let's click out. Let's not have any of these layers selected over here. It'll mess them up. So I'm just going to click on the tracing layer. Now with our P tool turned on, we can draw our diamond perfectly. Oh, I didn't draw a line right there. Let me do that. 34%? Sure, why not? Okay, that's 1 diamond. Oh, and I didn't do the color correctly. These need to be medium gray. There, and where's the other one I just drew? Let's eyedropper that color right there. Okay. All right, cool. Draw some more. Click, 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 click. And then this side. Now the next set of diamonds we're going to draw are going to be dark. Like you could do black or just a darker gray. Again, get out of the shape layer. Just click on the tracing layer. Let's change our fill color to much darker. And let's draw the other diamonds we have not yet traced. Like that one. Press enter. This one. Now, most patterns are not this complicated. So don't worry. This is not normal, but this does give a really cool look. After this, I think we are done. I don't think I forgot any faces. Let's turn on our pattern preview. Oh yeah, baby. Look at that. Would you just look at it? Just look at it. Looks great. Okay, so that's done. Let's go up to Edit, Define Pattern, Cubosity. I don't know. Cubosity. Cool. Now let's test it out on our thing here. Let's copy one of these here shapes. Double click the effects style, whatever, layer style. And yes. Very cool. I like it. Now, once you've made a bunch of patterns, we got to organize them, right? We got to keep all our assets organized. So go up to Window, open your Patterns tab, and let's just make lots of room here. All right, here are all of mine that I've made. Lots of fun patterns. I think I'm going to sell a pack of these sometime soon. And yeah, let's make a group. Let's call it, I don't know, shapes. You know, you can do dots, lines, whatever you're going to organize them. And I'm going to put all my like diamond ones in here. As you can see, I made different sizes, which really I shouldn't have wasted my time doing because ultimately I'm just going to use the scale slider to change the size. We got some boxes. We might have another group called like dots, you know, not literally dots, but oh, that made a subfolder. There we go. We can collapse that. Anything with polka dots or small squares, put them in dots. You can have diamonds, so on and so forth. If you want to save them, you can go to Export Selected Patterns. So you need to actually select them all. Maybe a group. I'm not sure if you can export just a group or you actually have to select them. But yeah, you would go up there and export. And it makes a PAT file, P-A-T. Now, if you click the Make New Pattern button, it actually uses your current open Photoshop document and turns that into a pattern, which in this case is a terrible idea. So I'm going to cancel that. So that's the gist of it. From the simple to the complicated, there's lots of fun things you can make with patterns, different ways you can use them in your compositions, your graphic design, and in your art. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or if I screwed something up ask in the comments down below and I'll do my best to get back to you. And in exchange for that, please subscribe to my channel. Have a great week.